tonight's topic is going to be warm-ups and cool-downs. So I know we started with some super deep stuff in the very first webinars, and now we're actually going to start getting into a little bit of the nitty-gritty, a little bit of the nuts and bolts of what to do with your voice once you're up and running. And for a lot of you, I know that you will know some of this, but hopefully I'll share something with you that you don't know and help you to work through other things that might get you past barriers that you might be coming up against. Your voice is an instrument, and it is an instrument that depends on a lot of different systems in your body to operate efficiently and healthfully. So I like to do warm-up exercises as a regular routine. I don't get to do as much as I'd like to do, like in yoga or track or any kind of physical exercise. You really should stretch out those muscles, work them up so that you're loose, you're feeling good, and that they can function at top capacity. Even prior to the stretching out stuff, you really need to relax. You need to relax your mind, let go of what's going on. I personally do it through meditation. I recommend doing it every day if you can, some sort of relaxation exercise. I try to do it about 20 minutes a day, and I do another one at night before I go to sleep. So one thing that I like to do is to just notice your breath. You don't really have to do anything except to notice your breath. So the best way that I know to do that is to close your eyes and just listen for the breath going in and the breath going out. Hopefully you're in a quiet space where you can hear that. Just notice the breath going in, the breath going out, the rise of your chest, the fall of your chest as your lungs expand and contract. You don't have to count them. You don't have to try to force them to be faster or slower. Just notice what that breath is doing. And I would suggest doing that for at least 5 minutes. Whenever you have a chance before you do these other kinds of exercises that we're going to get into. I try to do it for about 20 minutes a day, and there are other types of meditation that I do that are a little more complex. This one is just easy because all of us breathe. You can also, if you do it for a length of time, you may also notice your pulse. You might be able to hear your heartbeat. You might be able to feel your pulse as the blood is coursing through your veins. What this does is it puts you in touch with the present. It puts you in touch with what's going on physiologically for you. And like I said, you don't need to alter it. You don't need to try to regulate it in any way. Just notice it and use that to concentrate on so that everything else fades, because that is the one constant thing that's always with you. There are also breath relaxation exercises that you can do. One of the things that I like to do is just a simple breath in through the nose. If you guys want to do it with me, just breathe in through the nose and then hold it. And while you're holding it, take another breath in through the nose and then one more. Just hold it and then release it gently through your mouth. And you do that a few times, and that will also help to relieve some of the tension in your body and allow you to do the other exercises that will actually trigger the muscles that you're going to be using for voiceover. It reduces tension also. I tend to carry a lot of tension in my shoulders and neck and back, upper back, and I'm going to show you a stupid little video at the end of this just to show you what I do sometimes to help with that too. Can also help you to reduce that tension. I find when I get too tense up in here that I don't have as clear a pathway to perform as I would like. If you're going to be doing this, especially on a professional level, make sure you get your rest, because you're actually rebuilding cells that you're kind of tearing down in the process of doing all that stuff, or lack of sleep. So let's get right into the very first exercise. To do this exercise, it's basically just putting, starting with the first letter of the alphabet, A, E, I, O, U, Ah. Now you notice I stretch my face out. It doesn't look very pretty, but it's a really great way of getting the face ready for some real action. You go to the next letter, baby, bye, bo, boo, ba. You notice that I changed the tones of that. That's also very helpful in starting to warm up the throat. Continue down the alphabet. K, ki, kai, ko, ku, ka. Day, dee, die, do, do, da. E, a, e, e, I, o, u, ya. Fe, fi, fi, fo, fu, fa. Gay, gi, gai, go, goo, ga. And you notice I'm scrunching stuff up. When you're doing that, I suggest that you do it in front of a mirror. So that's what we covered in the Facebook community. I'm going to expand on that because I want to help you guys to warm up other parts of the mouth. The easiest way to do that is that same formula, but we're going to be adding other consonants on to the beginning of each one of those words. So instead of saying A, E, I, O, U, A, for the first one, I would suggest trying putting an S, a T, and an R in front of each one. Stre, stri, strai, stro, stru, stra. Now we're tapping the R like the Japanese do with the letter R. So instead of saying something like Roku, they would say Roku. It's almost like a mini trill with we call it a tap. So stre, stri, strai, stro, stru, stra. You can do that in a rhythmic fashion. You can do that with different notes. That's also very helpful. But you'll notice that you're starting to activate the tongue and the upper palate when you do that. You can put a little more of a trill if you're comfortable doing that on the R. Stre, stri, strai, stro, stru, stra. You'll notice the vibration also helps to loosen things up on the inside. Next one I use is the letter M and the letter N. Mene, mini, manai, mano, manu, mana. When you're doing that, you start to activate the lips and all of the muscles around the lips, especially for alliteration. If you have to say something quickly, if you have to say something with perfect pronunciation, very helpful for that. The next one I use is the letter K, letter L. Kle, kli, klai, klo, klu, kla. You'll feel a difference in there. Then letter K and an N. Kane, kini, kanai, kano, knu, kana. That one may feel a little bit like a tongue twister, and you will notice a little bit of activation that's starting to head towards the back of the tongue. Adding the letter V and D before each one. Vade, vidi, vadai, vado, vadu, vada. A little bit different there. Then a V and an N. Vene, vini, vanai, vano, vanu, vana. And you don't have to do them quickly. In fact, I would recommend when you're starting out with these, do a little more slowly so that you get the full use of each of the muscles that you're activating in each one of these. Next one for me is F and L. So I go flay, flee, fly, flow, flew, fla. That's going to be very similar to the V, but you will notice if you do it slowly that you will be activating different things. And you can add more syllables to it also, which will help you to some sort of fast legal type thing. We'll get into that a little bit later for commercials, that sort of thing. So one little example of that would be adding the letters A, B, A, D in front of it. Abade, abadi, abadai, abado, abadu, abada. So you guys can expand that out, play with it. Just pick out your favorite consonants and put them together. Throw a few syllables in there together so that you really get your mouth activated in all areas of your mouth. If I don't have time to do a lot of that, I'll just simply do raspberries like we did when we were babies, just that kind of thing. But do it like a siren where it's going up and down. And I would do that for up to a full minute before you start speaking. And it really helps to loosen everything up. Any kind of vibration in the muscles tends to relax them. One thing that I'm going to do to help you guys to warm up your throat is also a meditative exercise that I use. For anybody who's done yoga, you may have heard people telling you to say the word Om. So what I would suggest you do is you take a long, slow breath through your nose, in. And when you exhale, just say the word Om in a comfortable note for you. Om. Now, you don't have to put the N on if it bugs you. Again, if the M at the end, if it bugs you to do that. But it's a really great way of calming down the vocal cords. I use it as a warm-up and a cool down. For me, humming is the most effective cool down there is. So if you don't like the Om, you can do it just as a hum. To just change the tones up. You can go to the higher parts of your range, you can go to the lowest parts of your range, hit the middle part. in the cool downs particularly, I like to hit the lowest part of the range. If you guys are familiar with a show and a video game series called Final Fantasy VII, I played a character in there called Vincent. And Vincent spoke like this all the time. And it was almost like speaking in a constant ohm. So when when I've had a really rough day, or if I'm about to prepare for something and it's early morning and I'm not quite warmed up yet, I'll just speak in the lowest tones possible. And that vibration tends to help to loosen up the throat and to calm down anything that might be inflamed in there. My throat is a little inflamed right now, so it feels really good. So it's a great thing that you can use for your cool downs too. I don't have a lot that I can give you for cool downs, because that's really the main thing I do besides drinking water and resting and that sort of thing.
When you're getting preparing yourself to do a kind of deeper, more guttural voice for a longer period of time, whether that be like "bring me 27 power cells," like something along those lines, or maybe a merfolk. Are there any vocal exercises that are specific to doing things like that?
Limit yourself, because no matter how much warm up you do, no matter how much preparation you give yourself when you're doing a voice like that, you're going to encounter stress. It just is. The throat isn't really meant for extended periods of use in that way. And especially if you start out in a voice like that and you get louder, you have to get into a battle situation and you're projecting in that voice, you're going to be doing some damage in there no matter what. You can use some of the techniques that I was recommending. The best thing is really humming or doing things in your low register. The raspberries help to open everything up, but as far as the voice is concerned, just as low as you possibly can. And it helps to loosen it up a little bit. Also, when you are doing that, make sure that it's not all coming from the throat. Make sure that you're supporting it with your diaphragm, the muscles, the big muscle that's under your ribs. Make sure that you take a deep breath before you do it, and you'll feel it. Do it put your fingers on that muscle there and support it as you're doing it, and it'll help to get a little bit more air out without having to strain it quite as much. But again, just don't do it for too long. And if they require you to do a voice like that for 4 to 8 hours, then it's hurting. I would recommend just walking away from the job, honestly, because if you tell them that it's hurting you and they still force you to do it, they're not looking out for you, and you could injure yourself. Some people like to sing to warm themselves up. Charlie Adler, one of the greatest voice actors in the world, he sings in his car on the way to sessions, and he'll just pick a song that he's comfortable with that doesn't go too high, so it's not going to stress out his voice. It doesn't go too low beyond his range, but it's something that he's really comfortable singing, and covers a wide enough range of notes and rhythmically also to help warm all that stuff up, and with a little bit of alliteration too. If you've got a song that has lyrics that will exercise your mouth a little bit using a lot of different words, try one of those. If you have a song that you really love to sing, do that. It's a great way to warm yourself up. One other way that you can relax before performing is by relaxing your jaw. Sometimes the jaw is a little bit too tight, even if everything else is warmed up. So one thing that you can do is a little bit of a massage. You take the heel of each hand, you put it just under the cheekbone on each side, and you rotate. You rotate forward, you rotate back, first with your lips just barely parted, and then open your mouth and do it. Open your mouth a little wider and do a little bit more. And you can move them down and also back a little bit. And you'll notice there's other muscles that you'll activate back here. And that just helps to relax the whole jaw. And then also, while your hands are there, you can rub your temples at the same time. And that just helps to calm everything down too. Now that we're all loosened up, one of the things that I like to do to help me to alliterate, now this is one that I learned years ago when I was working for 7-Eleven. I used to be the guy who said, "Oh, thank heaven." And part of my job was to do the legal stuff at the end of it, the fast stuff that nobody listens to. So one of the things they had me do was available for a limited time only at participating dealers. Terms, conditions, and restrictions apply. We'll also print this out because this is a really great exercise to play with, to help you get your speed up, to help you get your enunciation, your pronunciation up, just to make sure that you hit every single beat. If you are going to be doing commercial work or you're going to be doing some character that's paced up, it's a really great exercise. I'll do it one more time. Available for limited time only at participating dealers. Terms, conditions, and restrictions apply. And you can hear every single piece of that. And there's another one that I used from an old comedy team called Hudson and Landry. This is before your time. This is way back in the 70s. There was this comedy duo called Hudson and Landry, and they were doing this stupid radio show gag. And one of the things they did there was Bill Rambo, 650, Dorothy, yes, ma'am, the ex-wife and Pepper Nurse Company. Oh, I can't even do it. Bill Rambo, 650, Dorothy, yes, ma'am, the ex-wife and Pepper Endurance Company, Bashville, Johnny C., home of the grand old conglomeration, Fanny Hill University in the bathtub of the South. It's 7:30. I'd have to do that 2 or 3 times to get all of those words out, but that's another great one to use. It's great for any kind of reporter type voice, announcer voice, radio stuff that you might be doing, where it's got to be fast paced. It's got to be sort of stoic and informational. You've got to deliver the information on time and accurately. Make sure that you drink warm, clear liquids, or no hotter than room temperature, no colder than room temp. Well, it can be a little bit warmer than room temperature, but no colder than room temperature. Don't put ice in it. Ice is going to kind of freeze things up in there. You really don't want that to happen. Room temperature, warmer. And that would include water, herbal teas, clear soup broths, that kind of thing. Just stay away from things like coffee. Milk, it tends to create mucus, and you're going to have a lot of phlegm when you're trying to be clear and concise. Sugar does the same thing, especially processed sugar. It's going to cause mucus, and it's going to slow you down and fill your mouth up with things you don't really want in there. Same with carbonated drinks. But I highly recommend getting a massage too. If you're going to be doing a lot of this kind of work, and you do a lot of the type of work that I do that requires some stressful projected voice work, you may feel tension in your neck and shoulders. And there are lots of different ways that you can get massages. I highly recommend doing that too. And also make sure you hydrate a lot when you're getting massage. One last thing that I would add to that is if you don't have somebody around that can give you a massage, or you're not in a place where you can get a massage, I would suggest getting a foam roller. They're really inexpensive. It's just this long tubular thing made out of foam. And just roll it gently up and down your back. You lay on top of it and roll it up and down your spine. And that helps to relieve some of that tension too. And as far as physical exercise, absolutely. Walking is great. I wouldn't do anything that's so strenuous that it's going to make you sore and even tighter. Some people work out like fiends, and they'll be doing, lifting and whatever, and they want to look good. Especially on-camera actors will tend to pump up. The dudes especially will pump up before they walk into the room, and they want to look good for everybody. Don't do too much of that stuff. I wouldn't suggest doing that. Stretches would be better, or yoga, something like that. They would lengthen the muscles of the body and relax the body more so than anything else.
So how do you speak with the part of your voice that you use to talk clearly? Like, for instance, this is how I sound right now, but when I bring it up just a little bit, it sounds a bit clearer where you can kind of hear what I'm saying, and it's a bit like I'm enunciating, for instance.
Now, you've got your natural speaking timbre. You want to be able to speak as clearly and concisely at that level as you do if you pitch it up. You might find that pitching it up will make it a little bit more clear if you happen to have a rattle in your throat like I do. When you have a deeper voice, sometimes it isn't quite as clear. It doesn't cut through quite as effectively. For commercial stuff, for example, I get passed over in favor of people with higher voices because it does cut through a little bit more and can be a little more precise. That said, you still want to be able to be as effective with your communication at any level that you're speaking, in any character that you're speaking in. So I would practice the enunciation exercises in all of your vocal range, in every area of your vocal range. Don't just rely on that one piece.
My question is in regards to mic technique. I'm having a bit of an issue in regards to like yelling and making sure it's not peaking in Audacity. How do I properly do that?
As far as not peaking, you've got to set your levels. So if you are going to be doing something where it's going to be a pretty heavy projection, turn your levels down a little bit, your recording levels first. And then, if you're doing a speaking thing and you know that it's going to amplify as you go on, you get a little bit louder and louder, just pull yourself away from the microphone to the point when you're yelling, you go a little bit off axis. And that will help. You want to be able to keep the same flow of air and the same tone without it sounding like it's running away into the other room. So you still want to keep it directed at the microphone until you get really, really loud and you know that it's just going to carry into that. If it's a section where it's just going to be really loud, I would adjust that in the levels, and then you can stay a little bit closer to the microphone and yell away into it as long as you have a pop screen or something like that to protect the microphone from the extra air and whatever else flies out of your mouth. But again, if you're going to be doing something that's going to be varying in levels, you're going to have to be your own monitor going back and forth doing that, unless you have an engineer on the other side that's writing the dial for you, but they can't predict what you're going to do. So you have to be fully responsible for that. It was very quiet. It was a dark and stormy night.
Sorry.
Talk amongst yourselves.
It's making me confirm that I'm me so that I can share my sound as well.
Okay. Warner Brothers Studios, the best place to scream and fight and die.
Oh, I prefer my fate to yours. I prefer my fate to yours.
I feel pretty, oh so pretty. I feel pretty and witty. So yeah, I get paid to do that.